Welcome back everyone. In today's video, we are going to be discussing these two previous year problems that falls under the same topic of angular momentum of an object undergoing general planar motion. So in the starting of the video, we're going to discuss how to write the angular momentum of a body about a particular point when it's undergoing general planar motion. And after that, we're going to solve these two problems. And at the end of the video, I am going to give you a neat result, which would make the calculation slightly easier if a problem like this appears in future. So let's begin with the discussion. So first of all, as I said earlier, this result is only for planar motion. Okay, so we're not talking about the situations in which the omega vector is changing its direction, similar to the problem that appeared in 2016. So we are keeping the situation simple in this case. So the spinning omega of the object does not change its direction in this particular case. So basically, let's say this is the center of mass. So the case we are considering is the case in which the center of mass itself is translating and the object itself is spinning as well. So now we have to write the angular momentum of this object about the origin. Okay, I'm not going to be covering the derivations here, but the result comes out to be a very neat one. So first you have to consider the entire object as a particle that is placed at the center of mass. Let's say the mass of the object is capital M. So we are assuming this mass M is placed at the center of mass and writing the angular momentum of the point mass relative to our origin. Okay, so for that, what we're going to do is draw a position vector. Let's call this as our CM vector. So the first term is going to be M, which is the mass of the object, times RCM cross VCM. Okay, so this is assuming the entire thing as a point mass placed at the center of mass. And for the second term, what we're going to do is assume the center of mass. And for the second term, we are going to assume the entire object to be hinged at the center of mass. And we're going to tackle this as a fixed axis rotation problem. So in this particular case, the angular momentum about the center of mass is simply ICM, which is the moment of inertia of the object or body about the vertical axis passing through the center of mass. So this thing multiplied by omega vector. So this will be the second term. Okay, so this is the result that we are going to be using in this particular video. So in loose words, you could say this term over here. So LCM is basically the angular momentum considering the object as a point mass placed at the center of mass. So we can say this first term is the angular momentum of the center of mass. So let's call the object with some name A. So second term, you could say it's the angular momentum of A relative to the center of mass. So now let's pick up one of the problems. Okay guys, so let's start our discussion with the 2022 problem. So in this question, we have a flat surface of a thin uniform disk of radius r that is glued to the horizontal table. So, okay, so this disk over here, it is glued to the horizontal table. So basically it cannot move. And we have another thin uniform disk B of mass capital M with the same radius r, and it rolls without slipping on the circumference of A as shown in the figure. A flat surface of B also lies on the plane of the table. So this is a planar motion. The center of mass of B has a fixed angular speed omega about the vertical axis passing through the center of A. So I'll discuss what this means. So we have to basically find the angular momentum of B with respect to the center of A. Okay, so let's begin with the discussion. Okay guys, so this is how the situation is looking like. So in this line, they're saying the center of mass of B has a fixed angular speed omega about the vertical axis passing through the center of A. Let's say this is the center of mass of the disk B. So what they mean by that line is basically the rate at which this vector rotates. That is basically OCM vector. The rate at which this vector rotates is what they have given as omega. So the center of mass is going to be moving in a circle of radius 2r centered at O. And the angular frequency of this circular motion is given to be omega. So with that information, we can directly write down the velocity of the center of mass as 2r omega. So that's the magnitude, and it's going to be in this particular direction, perpendicular to the radial vector. So with this information, we can easily write down the first contribution to the angular momentum that we discussed, that is considering the CM as a particle, right? So this would be M, which is the mass of the disk, times r cross v. And as in this particular case, the r vector and the velocity vector are perpendicular to each other, so we can simply write it as r times v. So it's going to be 2r, which is the distance magnitude of OCM, multiplied by 2r omega, which is the velocity. And the direction, if you do r cross v, it will come out to be out of the plane. Okay, so which we can consider it as the k cap direction. So now how do we determine the second term? So for that, as I mentioned earlier, we have to consider the entire rigid body is hinged about its center of mass. For writing the second term, we need the spinning omega, which we don't know of. Now, how do we determine the spinning omega? And for finding the spinning omega, we're going to use the fact that the disk B was rolling on top of disk A, which means the contact point, which in this case is this particular point, is the relative velocity between body A and B must be 0 at this particular point. As the disk A is at rest, velocity of disk B at this point has to be 0 as well. So how do we write the velocity of the disk B at the bottommost point? So it will be a linear combination of the velocity of the center of mass, which is 2r omega, and an r omega term, which would be r times omega spin in this particular case. And from here, the spinning omega comes out to be 2 times the orbital omega. So intuitively, what this actually means is that the body spins twice as fast as the body orbits. So like if you want a small example, let's say the center of mass completes one rotation about the center O. In that particular time, as the body spins at twice the rate, the disk B would have completed 2 revolutions about its center of mass. Or basically just consider additional point, let's say C. By the time the center of mass completes one rotation, C would have completed 2 revolutions about the center of mass. So that's what this intuitively means. Okay, so with that, we are all set to write down the second term. So now the second term, that was the angular momentum of the disk B relative to the center of mass. This was equal to moment of inertia of this disk about its center of mass. So that is half mr squared, right? Times the spinning omega, which is actually 2 times omega. So the omega vector is in the k cap direction itself. Finally, the angular momentum about the point O is going to be the sum of these two, and that comes out to be 5 mr square omega in the k cap direction. And that was the required answer. So we had to find the value of n, so that will come out to be 5. Okay, so now let's move on to the second problem. So this was the 2021 problem, the year I gave the exam. So this problem is also very similar. So we have a thin rod of mass m and length a that is free to rotate in the horizontal plane about a fixed vertical axis passing through O. A thin circular disc of mass capital M and of radius a by 4 is pivoted on this rod with a center at a distance of a by 4 from the free end, so that it can rotate freely about its vertical axis, as shown in the figure. Assume that both the rod and the disc have uniform density and they remain horizontal during the motion. An outside stationary observer finds the rod rotating with an angular velocity ohm and the disc rotating about its vertical axis with angular velocity. So we basically have to find the angular momentum of this composite system about the point O. So the angular velocity with which this system rotates about the point O, that is from the top view, it will appear as a circular motion, something like this, is given to be ohm, and the angular velocity with which the disk rotates about its own axis, its own vertical axis, that is basically the spinning angular velocity of the disk, is given to be 4 ohm. So in this particular case, we have to consider the contributions due to the rod and the disk both. So first, let's consider the angular momentum of the rod about this point O. Okay, so this case is pretty elementary because rigid body that is hinged at the point O and it is rotating in the horizontal plane about this vertical axis. So in this case, the angular momentum about O due to the rod is simply I of the rod about the vertical axis passing through O times ohm vector. I about O is ml square by 3. So in this case, the length of the rod was A. So this would be m a square by 3 times ohm vector. Omega, ohm, the direction is in the ohm cap direction, or if you consider the j cap to be along the direction of ohm, we can write this as j cap as well. Now let's consider the contributions due to the disk. Okay guys, so the spinning omega of the disk about its own axis is 4 ohm, and the center of the disk is rotating in the horizontal plane about a vertical axis, something like this, with an angular velocity of ohm. So basically from the top view, it will look as the center of our disk is performing a constant radius circular motion with angular velocity of ohm. So from the top view, we can see that the velocity of the center of mass is 3a by 4 times O. Okay, so now let's write down the angular momentum of the disk about the point O. So first, again, we have to consider the center of mass to be a particle. And as you can see, if you do, so the r vector is going to be 3a by 4. V vector is 3a by 4 omega. Again, they are perpendicular, and if you do r cross v, you'll again get the direction similar to ohm vector, which we took it as j cap direction. The mass of the disk is m. The distance from the center is 3a by 4 times the velocity of the center of mass is 3a by 4 ohm, and the direction is in the k cap direction. And for the second component, we have to consider the object to be hinged about its center. So the second term is going to be the I about the center, which, as it is a disk, it will be mr square by 2, and r itself is a by 4, so this will be m a by 4 squared divided by 2 times this spinning omega, which is given to be 4 ohm, and the direction is again going to be in the k cap direction. So finally, the net angular momentum due to both the rod and the disk is going to be the summation of them. So it will be 11 by 16 ma square ohm plus 1 by 3 ma square ohm, and this after solving comes out to be 49 divided by 48 ma square ohm in the k-cap direction. So the answer, what they required us is to find the value of n. So n is equal to 49 will be the answer for this question. Okay, so now let's talk about the result I was talking about. So this isn't like a magical trick or something, it's just a basic result. So let's say the revolution omega is ohm. Let's just consider a question that is exactly similar to the last problem that we just did. Okay, but with a slight difference, that is the spinning omega is also ohm. Basically this condition is when the revolution omega and the spinning omega both are equal in magnitude and in direction. So in this case, let's try to write down the angular momentum about this point O. So let's say the distance of the center of mass from our axis is r, and let's say the moment of inertia of the disk about the axis passing through its center is I. So in this case, if you want to write down the angular momentum, it will be, considering the center of mass as a particle, it will be m times rcm cross ohm vector plus I about the center, the spinning omega, which is also ohm vector, right? Sorry, this would be v vector. Now if you observe this term, r vector is going to be this vector over here, v vector is going to be into the plane, and if you do r cross v will come out in the along the direction of ohm vector. So this would simply be mvr in the ohm cap direction. And now v itself I can write it as r times ohm, right? So this would be mr square ohm in the ohm cap direction, which we took it as k cap direction. So let's just write it like that, I ohm in the k cap direction. So now if you observe, we can take the ohm vector outside. So that is mr square. Let's just write it as ohm vector. So long story short, if you have an object that is spinning about its own axis with an angular velocity of ohm and also revolving about some other axis with the same angular velocity, if you want to find the angular momentum about some point, then you can simply use parallel axis theorem. So let's say the moment of inertia about this particular axis is I, and by parallel axis theorem, the moment of inertia about this axis is going to be I plus mr square, and the L about the point O you can write in one step as I about O times ohm. So this was what I was trying to say. So but this only works if you have same spinning omega and same orbital omega. Otherwise you cannot apply this result. So this is something, this is not a magical trick, it's something that you can keep in mind. If let's say in the future case they give the same spinning omega and orbiting omega, then you can directly write it using parallel axis theorem. So that was it for this video, guys. If you have any doubts, you can comment down below, and please do like, share and subscribe if you want more such videos. And that's it. Thanks for watching.